And hello, everybody, and good morning as we get ready for baseball on this Sunday. It's great to be with you. It should be a great day today. And the Giants and Mets wrap up this three-game series. It's tied up 1-1 right now. And, of course, the Mets swept the Giants last week at Oracle. So we'll see what the Giants can do to put a dent in where the Mets think they're going. They've got a half-game lead right now over the Phillies, and these guys leapfrog each other every day. But the Giants need to get it going. Let's face it, with the trade deadline and the sell-off of Duvall and Rogers and Yastrzemski and not getting back any major league players kind of gives you the idea that perhaps the Giants think that this 2025 is not their season the way it has turned out. That six-game losing streak on the homestand, the first time that had happened since 1896. My God, you're going back to the Boston Bean Eaters again. And once you start pulling names like that out, you know how rare things are when it happens with the Giants. So they lose yesterday 12-6 to the Mets. K.Y. Tang pitched for the Giants yesterday, and I thought he threw some good pitches, not overwhelming. What can I say? And he was gone after 3 1/3, 4 hits. Gage came in and gave up a couple of inherited runs, so they were charged to Tang, so he gave up 5 runs and a long 3-run homer in the first inning, and you just know he didn't need that, to Pete Alonso. And for the Polar Bear, that's number 250 as a Met. He's 2 behind Darryl Strawberry for the all-time lead as a New York Met. And he is a free agent again, and it's not going to be in the Giants' plans. I thought he should have been in there last year, but he probably will stay as a New York Met. I have that feeling. So today the Giants turn to Carson Whisenhunt, 24 years old. Got his first start against the Pirates last week. 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs given up, a homer, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. He had a rough beginning. For any kid, look, he's a rookie, and he's not overwhelming. It's the change-up, and trying to spot that fastball in there. And he shut the lefties down. They didn't get a hit off him. They were 0 for 3. The righties were 5 for 17 with the home run. But he gets another shot today. And, the whip is 140, and it's only one start for him. But lefties against the Mets, you like a lefty against the Mets. You do. We've seen it now for 5 games. This will be the 6th game. And you can shut Nimmo down. You turn Lindor around. Soto as a lefty hitter. And you got to deal with Alonso. But then you get McNeil and Beatty and Mullins and people like that. So they are vulnerable to left-handed pitching. And Lucchesi, Gage, Whisenhunt, get ready because they're going to be needed today against the New York Mets. The Mets, though, Frankie Montas, 32 years old. He came up with the White Sox, and he was traded over to the A's. He's with the A's. Melvin knows him very well. He was with the A's for a while. Then he had that trade to the Yankees, and then all of a sudden he got hurt. The shoulder. Then he went to Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and he ended up with the Mets. He's 3-1. With a 5.46 earned run average. He is hittable, believe me. He's only been in 6 games, 29 innings, goes usually 4 to 5 innings in the game, 35 hits, 6 homers already in 29 innings, but he does have 8 walks and 26 strikeouts, so the stuff is still there for him. Well, we have our contest going today for dinner for 2 at Original Joe's in North Beach, Westlake, or West Portal. And then Raf picks a second winner. Once you qualify for the pool, if you get the score right of today's game, you can win dinner for 2 at Walnut Creek, where the new Original Joe's is going to be opening. Should be August 14th. And this is going to be amazing the week after next. It's fabulous. And I know we play the spot about it with a couple of different bars, outside seating. And this is the biggest deal to hit the East Bay ever. So you can win dinner for 2 there. And then also Raf picks one random contestant, and we get a lot of guesses on this thing. There's 150 or more. And God, when you look at the views of thousands of people who see the ad, Soto Mare, dinner for two at Soto Mare. We have that going as well. The other thing I want to mention this morning, and we'll talk about it today with Bruce Jenkins, and I'm sure with Woe, our good friend, dear friend, Greg Papa, is announced Friday morning that he's battling cancer, and he's going to take the year, whatever it may be, with the 49ers off, and his radio off as well, as he's got to deal with this. But he'll beat it. He will. We text here and there. And other than Gary Radnich, I say it so many times, Greg Papa meant the most to me in my career. I love talking ball with him. He loves baseball. He's a great baseball guy. His baseball work is underrated. You know, we haven't seen a lot of him in baseball, but basketball, terrific. And, of course, the voice of the Raiders for years and the 49ers now. So, Pop, we love you. We're thinking about you, and I'm sure Bruce and I will talk about it in Woe as well. But get better. That's your job now. Just get better, and you'll be back with us. So, Greg Papa, we love you, and we think about you. Millions of people think about you. I know when you made the announcement Friday morning, you got tons of texts and messages of well wishes from athletes and just people who know you and fans and things like that. So, Pop, you're in everyone's heart, so just take care of yourself, and you'll get over this. Believe me, you will. You know what you're doing, and the doctors are outstanding, UCSF. All right. So that's what we got today. We've got the Mets and the Giants as they wrap up this series. For the Giants, they're a game under 500 again, 55 and 56. Cincinnati is ahead of them. St. Louis is ahead of them. The Marlins are tied with them. What a crazy week of baseball. Number one, the trades, but how about the games? And when Bruce and I are on together, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but the games were just unbelievable, the way they went back and forth. Pittsburgh had 9 runs in the first inning and lost the game. How about that? And where? But in Colorado. That's where that had to happen. Paul Skeens yesterday pitching great. It looked like no-hit kind of stuff. And all of a sudden got to the 6th inning in Colorado, and the roof fell in on him. Where Skeens, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, and that doesn't happen to him. The Giants go to Pittsburgh next. They will not see Paul Skeens again. They won't see Bailey Falter either, who was traded to Kansas City. He's a pretty tough lefty. So Pittsburgh, the little kid Pregame, who hit a home run against the Giants. He had 3 yesterday in Colorado. How about that? You think it's thin air there. So Blake Snell came back yesterday for the Dodgers. They ended up losing. And good pennant races, really good pennant races, and I call them pennant races, division races going on. Wild card, even in the American League. How about the way the Yankees are playing? My goodness, they lost again to the Marlins, and the Marlins are terrific. The Marlins are terrific. A good young team. Look, we saw they swept the Giants. They shut out the Yankees yesterday 2-0. Perez got the shutout, and they came back and won, 13-12 with 3 in the 9th against the newest acquisition of the New York Yankees, Camilo Doval, on Friday night. And, boy, we'll talk about that this morning as well. So good time for baseball. It is. I know football's in the air a little bit, but the Giants made some moves. Some new players are here, at least in the farm system. Grant McCray is up. I love him. And yesterday he showed awesome power and speed and also an erratic throwing arm. He's got a great arm that he's got to harness a little bit too. But it was great to see him up there. We'll talk about the Giants and what they've got to get done. But Whisenhunt today, Ray pitched really well on Friday night again. And the Giants ended up winning that game 4-3. And Dom Smith is a player. And when Mark Simon comes on, I want to talk to him about Dom Smith. Dom Smith's a player. He really is. Had a big home run yesterday, and he drove in the winning run on Friday night in extra innings. Very good. But this pen is different without Rogers and Duvall, believe me. it's different when you get to that eighth inning. So we'll see how that's going to work out. All right. More coming up. Glad to be with you. And we've got a good show for you today. And then more baseball. And that's where we are on this August the 3rd of 2025. All right. More coming up. Mark Simon, Sports Info Solutions. He'll break down the game for us. He's actually going to the game today. So we'll get a good look at the Mets and Giants from him in just a minute, right after this on the Sports Leader. Fans, I heard from Gene Bagato up in Bodega Bay, and he said that while it's been on the cooler side weather-wise, it's still been quite comfortable up on the Sonoma coast. At the Tides Wharf, patrons can enjoy the best seafood available, from creamy New England clam chowder and seafood pasta dishes to fried calamari and grilled fish. Boy, I'm hungry already. If the beach is your destination, the fish market offers whatever one needs for a picnic at the beach, while across the Great Hall in the gift shop, shoppers can not only find great souvenirs to take home, but also top quality beachwear for the entire family. And if you're looking to spend a night or two, across Highway 1 is the fabulous Inn at the Tides with its spacious, comfortable rooms, all with bay views and a heated pool and a hot tub spa. My goodness. So if you're looking for a great escape not far from the Bay Area, think no further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Fans, it's great to have Rick Robin back with us. Rick Robin Construction, Napa.com. Rick, it's great to have you with us. Last year, a major honor for you. You're the Napa Contractor of the Year. How about that?
Yeah, so it wasn't any advertising or anything. The customers voted, and I finished number one.
I love it. Napa Valley Contractor of the Year. Rick, the things you specialize in, it's things that people need, and you take it from beginning to end. Let's go through the list.
We specialize in kitchens and baths. That's our main source. We do whole home remodels, brand new homes. We do ADUs. We do all your construction needs. Anything you need, just give us a call.
And the phone number is 707-332-7575. And, of course, on the web, it's Rick Robin, ROBBEN, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, great to have you back with us. I look forward to a great season with you.
Oh, it's going to be great. Give us a call and talk to Tammy. If you like our quote, we'll take you down to our showroom. We'll pick out all your material and look forward to working with everybody.
Fans, the things I love about Rick, he does all the work. That's for me.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
Oh no! Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for more Giants baseball today. It is game 3 between the Giants and the Mets. And on Friday night, the Giants won 4-3, exciting fashion as they usually do. And then yesterday, the Mets came back and the bats came alive, and they walloped the Giants pretty good, 12-6, a late two-run homer from Willie Adames. But we're joined by Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions at Mark A. Simon Says on Twitter. Mark, great to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to talk to you.
Yeah, then let's start with the Saturday game. A little bit about the pitchers in Saturday. We got to see KY Tang for the first time. He made a major league start, went a few innings, and then they bailed him out of there. And Gage came in and gave up a couple of runs. And Senga for the Mets, who was another disappointment, I thought, going on what he did last week, too. So let's talk Saturday baseball first.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a rough go. This has now been a little bit of a trend for him. I was very surprised that he couldn't hold the early 3-0 lead. Tang really seemed to settle down after the Pete Alonso home run and looked like the guy that had pitched really well in his previous bunch of times at Sacramento and was particularly effective. And then the wheels kind of came off late in the game. Spencer Bivens couldn't throw a first pitch strike. The bullpen ran into considerable trouble. Tristan Beck was essentially forced to eat a couple of innings for the good of the team, and they couldn't use the position player. So a mixed bag. Certainly Friday was a lot better for the Giants than Saturday. Got the drama, the excitement, everything. The one good thing for the Giants from this game, and I'm shocked that they were able to do it, but it's kind of been the way of the season for him. Juan Soto had 4 at-bats with runners in scoring position and went 0 for 4 somehow.
Well, he's hitting 188 with
Yep.
runners in scoring position this year.
Yep.
And last year as a Yankee, he hit something like 350. So how do you explain it?
Oh, I think we need Keith Hernandez or Hunter Pence to figure that out, because it doesn't make sense that he could be as good as he is, and as good as he is with like, it's funny, he's not good with a guy on first base either. But he's been really good when there's been nobody on base. And it's one of those just baseball mystery, bizarre kind of things that'll probably straighten itself out over a period of years. But for this year, it's just been kind of weird.
Well, the Mets do win on Saturday, 12-6. Adames hits the late home run, and the Met bullpen was decent. And hey, Rogers pitched against the Giants. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, he gave them a good inning. 16 pitches, 3 strikes, got outs. They spent a lot of time on the Met broadcast talking about the low arm angle from which he throws, which certainly Giants fans are extremely familiar. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Bob Melvin or who was it who said it. Our goal this series is not to face him. And they wound up facing him because the game was within striking distance at that point. And yeah, he's there. And I think the Giants got a good return for him. And I think the Mets feel like the 20 innings that they'll get from Tyler Rogers will be worth it the rest of the way.
Well, we'll talk about it. Carson Whisenhunt goes today, and it's a lefty against the Mets. And, you know, the Mets can run 7 lefties in the lineup against you. Lefties can handle the Mets a little bit. What do you think about Whisenhunt coming off his first major league start?
Yeah, it's been bizarre. First, I'll start with the Met aspect of this. The Mets are essentially the worst team in the sport in terms of hitting against left-handed pitching with their right-handed hitters. So that's Alonso and Lindor, and Marte's been good, but nobody else has for them. It's Tyrone Taylor. All these guys can't hit left-handed pitching, which doesn't make any sense. McNeil can, Nimmo can, Soto can. but they're the guy you would want. The guys you would want, the right-handed hitters, are not hitting left-handed pitching. Wizenut, first start, again similar to Tang, looked a lot better as the game went on. Good sinker, didn't get missed swings with it. You're not going to get missed swings with it, but got outs. Pirates went 1 for 9 against it. The hits all came on the changeup, including the home run. He couldn't throw a slider for a strike. He couldn't get a chase. I think those are things to look for in this game, because the Mets can be, at times, can certainly be a very disciplined team. And if you're only getting a chase 1 out of 8 pitches out of the strike zone, that's not good. So that's, I think, something for him to work on in this start.
Well, Wizenhunt lefties for the Pirates were 0 for 3 against them, so he hasn't given up a hit yet to a left-handed batter. So we'll see. Interesting to see what the lineup looks like for the Mets against the lefty. Now, the other side of the coin is someone who started his career, with the White Sox, but was traded to the A's and was here for many years. And then he had the shoulder injuries, and then he really bounced around quite a bit, and he ended up with the Mets this year. That's Frankie Montas. And I think, isn't he a changeup guy too? This could be
he's got this. He's got a splitter. He's got a slider. He's got a few different things to complement a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball. The splitter had been a valuable pitch for him earlier in this run of starts that he's had. Remember that he missed much of the start of the season, but now he's made this will be his 7th start. He hasn't been getting swings on the splitter. He didn't get him against the Padres in his last start. That would be something to watch, because he needs to lure guys into swinging at that to be effective. He threw 18 splitters against the Padres and only got 5 strikes with the split finger. So that's something to watch for. He hasn't been good with 2 strikes. He's been kind of a mixed bag this year. Some good, certainly some good. But like, it wouldn't shock me if he pitched, 5 or 6 and gave up 1 run, but it wouldn't shock me if he gave up as many runs as he pitched innings in the game either, the way that he's gone.
Well, the one thing about him, and looking at some of the numbers, the first time through the order, 353 with 5 homers.
Yep.
Second time through, 163. And the third time through, 450. So I guess he settles in, but you could get early. We'll see if that plays out too.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're reading Dave Fleming's stats for him today.
Well, I did a little bit of research here. Righties 295, lefties 288. So we'll see what happens here. But runners in scoring position, 8 for 25. When he's in the stretch, 16 for 45, 356. So I would think maybe the Giants have a better shot today, at least to score some runs.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they got 4 or 5 off of him.
So, all right. So let's talk about the Giants and how they look after this trades that they did make. Grant McCray Grant McCray played right field today. Hit the ball hard. Let me tell you, and we've seen this before with him, but then he strikes out. He's got great speed, a bad throw, and Dom Smith continues his good job playing first base. So for those two guys, they look different today.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, if you were going to look in terms of takeaways from the last 2 days, Grant McCray looked completely overmatched in his first game, but he was going up against guys who were throwing 100 miles an hour. And then on Saturday, Grant McCray looked like the guy that has the 95th percentile speed, and the other thing that comes with him is the 99th percentile arm, where he can throw at 97 miles an hour from the outfield. He looked a lot better. I looked a lot more comfortable in the 9 spot on Saturday. Dom Smith's had 2 good games against his former team. He hit the home run on Saturday. He's got a 7-game hitting streak against the Mets. He seems to like to face them. He was good against them with the Nationals. And I think this is my takeaway with Dom Smith at this point right now. His OPS is actually higher than the average first baseman OPS, which is all you could ask for from a guy that didn't make an opening day roster, that was a midseason pickup, and that was replacing a guy that you were counting on at the start of the season. He's not quite giving you the prime Wade production, but he's giving you respectable production at first base. It's no longer a big worry.
Yeah, no, I agree. He had the big home run today to put the Giants back in the game. And the Giants actually had the lead in this game, believe it or not, before giving it up to the Mets. The other one was from Friday night, and that's Randy Rodriguez. We've seen Camilo Doval, what happened with him with the Yankees, with their bullpen, and he looked like he's always looked, and now it's shaky. But Rodriguez came in and almost, he struggled. He looks like he's wearing it a little bit, that he is now the closer. Did you get that feeling?
A little bit. He was going up against the teeth of the Met lineup, and he did find his way through it, which was really crazy that he was able to get through that half inning and win the game. I didn't think he was going to get through it. I was pretty confident that the Mets were going to find a way to get a hit there, but they didn't. Credit to him. I think the nice thing about that is just about every situation he faces the rest of the season will be easier than that. And you would think that would help him along the way as you're trying to now develop a new closer. And remember, the closers only last 3-4 years on average. So you're trying to maximize what you can get out of him in the next, the rest of this season, and certainly in the next couple.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It looks like a different bullpen without Rogers and Duvall. I will tell you that. That eighth inning, seventh inning is now more of a mystery for the Giants, and they're going to have to figure that out. Pete Alonso had a great defensive series here at San Francisco. He had a big home run Saturday, number 250 for him. He's 2 behind Darryl Strawberry for the all-time lead as a New York Met. What about Pete Alonso? Look, he's another guy who's 7 for 67. There's 3 or 4 of them who are just not hitting, and all of a sudden they got loose today.
Yeah, Pete Alonso is face of the team. Him and Lindor, certainly. He has embraced it. He has enjoyed it. He has maximized it. He looked like at the start of this season, like he was going to have a 320, 400, 600 kind of season. That's petered out, as you mentioned. He's in this a little bit of a funk, but he did get 2 for 4 on Saturday. He runs into trouble this year, oddly enough, against left-handed pitching. As I was saying, he has trouble with the fastball up from them, and then he has trouble with the breaking stuff that dips down. It has been weird because he's hitting home runs against them, but nothing else.
Well, the magic of Antoine Richardson continued today, or Saturday rather. The Mets got another stolen base. I think it was McNeil. I think it was. Was that 30 in a row for them?
Yeah.
And they, of course, the former Giant first base coach is this cult hero now for the New York Mets.
Yeah, it's 30 in a row. The new guy joins the team, Cedric Mullins, and it's no problem for him to steal a base. Yeah, this is like the magic touch this year. There's something like, I think for the season, they've got like 70 more steals than they have caught stealing. They've only been caught stealing 10 times the whole year. It's really been fantastic. They get these great walking leads, and then they just take off. Juan Soto is having a career year stolen base-wise. A couple of other players have only gotten caught stealing once, and they're in double figures in stolen bases. He has been awesome as a first base coach, and everyone will credit the improvements that the Mets made base stealing to him.
Well, we'll see what happens today with the lefty, at least the lefty on the mound. Maybe that'll slow the Mets running game down. Trade-wise, there was a big trade between the Mets and the Giants. Let's just touch on it briefly for our audience. I can see Tidwell coming up soon after watching the bullpen today. And of course, Buto is here. We saw him Friday night. And then this kid Gilbert, he could be in the future here as a platoon player.
Yeah, Gilbert and Tidwell are really the heart of the deal. And certainly Buto can be a contributor and can be an answer in the bullpen in the 7th and 8th inning if he can cut down on the walks. Last year, Buto had, I think, 4 or 5 pitches, and the batting average against all of them was under 200. I think the fastballs have the number has come up against those pitches this year. But when he's good, he's very good. He runs into trouble with walks. Tidwell has pitched a little bit for the Mets, has looked shaky at times, has had a good inning or two that lures you into thinking he could be something. He's only 23, was a second-round pick. I think Gilbert is the centerpiece of the deal. I saw some things that said fourth outfielder. I remember, though, a year or so ago, people were very high on him. They thought that he was the second best prospect that the Mets had. He lost some of that due to an injury, but I think he's the heart of the deal. You would figure he's playing in the outfield at some point this season for the Giants, and then is in contention for a starting spot next year.
Yep, I can see him coming up. Carlos Mendoza did say today that he likes putting in a lefty hitter against Buto. He says,
Yep.
I've seen Buto struggle a lot against lefties. So we'll see how that plays out if Buto does, in fact, have trouble with lefties.
Yep. Yeah. He, as I said, he can be very good. He can run into some trouble. He was very good, but he had a outing right before the trade where he gave up 4 runs. Before that, his ERA was, I think, below 3.
Yeah, no, he's a solid pitcher, and we'll see what the Giants do with him. But they're going to need him in that 7th inning. Mark Simon with us. Mark, the trade deadline is passed. It was 50 deals going back and forth all over the place. Is there one you like that you said, well, that was a good one?
Yeah, I liked what the Phillies did in getting Joan Duran at the end of games. I think they needed that. I think that shores up a potential weak spot for them. Also, getting Harrison Bader is a nice help for them defensively, and he's been good with the bat this year as well. I know a lot of people are very high on the Padres. They got Mason Miller. They made a whole slew of deals. That one is certainly one worth circling. I also liked the Yankees trades. I liked the deal for McMahon, and I liked the trades for the relievers, but the relievers got kind of smoked in the first appearance that they had with the Yankees. So that wasn't particularly good. But I think over the long haul, those are good guys. Like Jake Bird looked really good early in the season. He looked like a guy that was virtually unhittable. It's come apart a little bit for him, but that's a guy that I particularly liked.
All right, it's August 3rd. A lot of baseball ahead of us. Mark, great to have you with us. Enjoy the game today, and we'll catch up next week. Thanks so much.
Yep.
All right, that is Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins right here on the Sports Leader. Great.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
All right, great to have you back with us on this Sunday morning as the Giants and Mets get ready to go at it. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Marty. Doing well, thanks.
Well, what happened to the Giants season all of a sudden? They lost they lost 6 straight at home. They tied the Boston Beat Eaters. Anytime you can say that, it's trouble. And
That's
here
never
we
good.
are. No, it's not good. And the trades, the bullpen's a mess now. And what did they get? And where are we with the Giants?
Yeah, it's pretty wild how Buster kind of closed the door on you. I can't say he closed the door on the season, but he made no effort to improve it for right now. I mean, and it was a little bit jarring. It does make some sense in some ways. I mean, I don't know if this team was bound for real glory this season, but I'm sure in the clubhouse it was like, wow, this is quite a blow. Nobody's coming in, 3 guys going out. It's not like they lost really, a whole lot. I mean, Yaz and Rogers were going to be free agents. They're probably going to be gone next year. And Duvall, what he's done in New York so far kind of reflects how the Giants fans feel about him. They love him when he's great, and he's not always great. So I'm not sure they took a titanic loss, but it just feels there's a whole different feel to it now. And it's just like the standings don't look good. Just day by day, try and eke out a win. That's where they're at.
Yeah, and as far as the future is concerned, I mean, the core guys are here. Adames, Jung-Hoo Lee, Devers, Chapman, those guys aren't going anywhere. Now you got to build around them, and that's the challenge for Buster.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I'm looking at the Sacramento lineup today. Drew Gilbert, who just in the trade from the Mets, is in there. Encarnacion, Eldridge, Jesus Rodriguez, good hitter from the Yankees prospect, Luciano, and Birdsong's pitching. That's not a bad place to be today. But that's a pretty good look at the future, and there's a lot of hope there. But it's a strange deal, that's for sure. That homestand is just haunting them and will for quite some time.
Very unusual. I mean, let's face it, you got to go back to 1896 for a Giants team going back to New York. I mean, really, to lose 6 straight on a homestand.
Yeah.
And they weren't, not pretty either.
No.
So, all right, so we'll see what happens. Whisenhunt today, Bruce, he's a lefty. He's kind of an odd-looking kid. He's got tattoos on both arms. You generally don't see that with a pitcher. You don't tattoo the arm you throw with, but he did. And he's got a little bit of a past, and I don't know, he's kind of a goofy guy. I'm anxious to see what he does today.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got roughed up right away, and they really needed him to get out of that and right the ship and get a couple good innings in, and he did that. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm very anxious to see him today. The changeup obviously is a great pitch, but he's going to need more than that. Even in the minor leagues, his record was hardly spotless. So we'll see. He's an interesting guy. He looks like a competitor, and all these little things matter right now. He's a lefty, and they don't really have a lot of obvious guys below him in the minors except for Birdsong. So it's a big deal for him, and I'm sure this won't be the last of him, even if he doesn't pitch well.
Yeah, no, I think he will stay in. I don't know if Tang will stay in there, but I think Whisenhunt will be in there unless something terrible happens. The other one, I love McRae, and I realize he will strike out a lot, and that's a fact of life today in 2025. But he got the great arm, and he threw one away yesterday. But, Bruce, the 2 he did hit were rockets, and then he runs like the wind. He runs like he's the grandfather of the wind.
He's at least a cousin of the wind.
Come on, he's in the Wind family. He is.
Man, he's incredibly fast, and sometimes his power is just mind blowing. And then the arm, he's got a lot of tools. I mean, he needs to tighten up his approach and his swing. He strikes out a lot. But, why not give him a good look in right field? Yaz is gone.
Yes.
Matos is forever kind of not really there and not getting the playing time he wants, which matters a lot to him. But I'm all for seeing a lot more of McRae and what he can do with it.
Absolutely. He
Yeah.
gives an element of speed, and you look at all these, even the Cardinals and the Reds and the Marlins, and a lot of young teams and a lot of young players making a mark. Churio with the Brewers, and look at all they're doing.
Yeah.
The Giants need guys like this. They need guys like this with a big upside, and I like it. I like what I saw with McRae. Did you get to see any of this game last night that was suspended from Bristol, Tennessee, from the racetrack?
I did not.
Oh, you're lucky. They played it in a torrential downpour. I mean, Bruce, I've watched baseball for many years. I don't think I've ever seen a game played in those conditions. I go back to 77, 78, the Phillies and Dodgers. I remember they had a playoff game, and Luzinski was in it, and the rain was crazy. I said, how are they playing this game in the rain? Last night went 10 times past that. And it was, look, baseball wanted to get the game in. It's their little party for the year. And they probably had 80,000 people, who bought tickets. But they just played for an inning or so in a torrential downpour. So the game's suspended. It's going to take place today. They're going to do it again today. So I suggest you watch it.
Well, I just, going through the highlights and the internet, I saw the game was suspended, so I didn't pay much attention to it. And then I saw a couple of clips about this storm they were playing in. I don't know what the weather's like today, but it can't be any worse.
Well, Raph says Raph is our weatherman. You know that. He says it looks better today. It looks bad, but they had Ken Rosenthal doing interviews in the dugout with the rain coming in on him. I mean, it was ridiculous. Baseball has to be embarrassed. You just can't force it just because it is a special game. They construct the whole field. It's millions of dollars to do it, and they demand to have the game played. It was crazy last night. I will say that. So
yeah, for sure.
If you have a chance, take a look at it. I want to mention with you, our good friend Greg Papa is fighting cancer, which he announced Friday morning, and he's had an outpouring of friends and people and texts and everything. Pop has a very special place in the Bay Area for so many years, and people love him, and they associate him with the A's and with the Giants, with the Warriors, with the Raiders, with the 49ers. And he's fighting this cancer now, and I know you wanted to say. And he's listening this morning, so I know you've got some thoughts about it.
Well, first of all, man, get well. You'll be back, but make sure you come back strong, and I know you'll do that. He's a good friend, a great man, but I'll tell you, this is a Bill King caliber broadcaster here. You just ran off those names. Greg Papa doing the Raiders on radio. I never thought anybody could do it like Bill King, and of course Bill was his own guy. But Greg Papa doing the Raiders on radio was extremely special. Doing the Warriors for 12 years, I think started around '86. Again, like Bill King, incredible basketball announcer. Those are two sports that are very hard to do. And of course, he's really good on baseball too, as was Bill King. But the way that he mastered play-by-play on basketball and football, I thought was just very rare, very special. And he carries himself in a really nice way too. He doesn't beat his chest or have that whole announcer persona like 24 hours a day, like hey, But more than anything, I think he's very well liked among his peers, and his reputation is flawless. So it's just about right now. It's just about getting well. He's got a fight on his hands. I'm sure he'll be strong, and we're all rooting for him.
Yeah, with a lot of love. And I was thinking about the Mount Rushmore of broadcasters in the Bay Area. And I put John, I put Lon, I put Bill, and I put Pop on there too. He's my fourth guy.
Yeah, I like the four. I mean, the more you think about it, you go, well, geez, what about this and that? But that's four right there. That's kind of unassailable right there.
Yeah. So I thought that Hank Greenwald is honorable mention. But
well,
Pop,
with these guys, you got to do, and Lon was very good on football, as we know. But yeah, but it's a tough crowd. But you need some versatility to be in that crowd.
That's right, and Pop's got it. So good. I'm glad that we could talk about him this morning, and we love him. The trade deadline has come and go. It was a nutty Thursday, wasn't it, Bruce? All the deals going back and forth. How about Correa going back to Houston?
Yeah, man, that's going to be a tremendous race in the West, American League West. Houston's leading. They got Correa back. They're getting healthier. Seattle, to me, I thought they wrapped up the title with what they did. Their lineup is just tremendous, top to bottom. Now they got Suarez in there, and Raleigh with his 42 homers, just up and down. Julio Rodriguez, one guy after another, and now Texas is coming on strong with Boshi, and they really like the way they're playing. So that's going to be a fantastic race. I know the LA Times was all over this, but how many really good relievers changed hands? They were all over the place. I mean, and the Dodgers didn't get any of them, and they needed them more than anyone.
No, Brock Stewart, and I don't even know who that is.
Brock Stewart.
That was that was the one trade they made, and then Dustin May going to Boston surprised me that they did that. But Snell came back yesterday. People should know that.
Well, Snell was very good. I mean, you see that he gave up 2 homers to the same guy, but they were both pretty much fly balls down the right field line in a bandbox ballpark, a short porch. He was great. He went 5 innings, 5 hits. 8 Ks, no walks. He was very good, so that's encouraging. I think, and I don't think they're going to miss Dustin May a whole lot. He's a great story because he's had a million injuries and always seems to come back and he'll throw a good game here and there. But it's a bigger deal for them to have, I think, Glasnow and Snell for the stretch drive.
How about the Padres and A.J. Preller? And I'm just saying, what if A.J. Preller was the general manager of the Giants and all that happened? I mean, I think the Chronicle would go off its axis if that happened.
Yeah, well, Soto will have come and gone. James Wood would be here, but now he's starring somewhere else. But we got this new guy, and it's always big. It's big stuff. He went big again, and to me, I mean, he pretty much ended the wild card race as far as what's going to happen in the Giants division. I mean. You get Mason Miller is completely lights out. They kept Suarez, who was already one of the best. Their bullpen is phenomenal. Darvish pitched a gem the other day. They held on to Cease. They kept Suarez, and they get Laureano and O'Hearn for hitting. They're loaded. They're exactly the opposite of what the Giants are. They're loaded. They're totally looking forward to the postseason. They're expecting it, and the Giants are just scratching and clawing. It's not over. It's their Giants are 6 behind them. So. That's not terribly daunting, but just the way things look is not terribly good for the Giants in that regard.
No, and they got a lot of Padre games coming up this month.
Yeah.
August 11th, they got 3 in San Francisco. Then the next week, 18th through 21st, 4 in that's 7 with San Diego in the month of August. So that'll figure itself out, believe me, by the end of that. But Padres still need some starting pitching. We'll see. And they got beat last night 6-4 by the Cardinals, so we'll see where that goes. One last thing, this time of year is always the Hall of Fame inductions, and I looked on August 3rd and I said, holy cow. Al Kaline, these are different years. Al Kaline, Duke Snyder, Tommy Lasorda, Phil Niekro, and the great Willie McCovey. How about that?
No, yeah. I mean, of course, we know all about McCovey here, and he was properly honored, in life and in death. He's probably the most feared hitter in the game at the time, which is always saying something powerful. But I loved Al Kaline. The guy breaks in. He's 20 years old. He hits .340. He wins the batting title. 22 years later, he's still with the Tigers, and he's playing in the '68 series and hitting .379. And talk about a class act. I'm sure you must have talked to Al at least once.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And, Duke Snyder, oddly enough, the guy was with the Giants in 1964, hitting 189 on his way out, just like hurrying out of the big leagues. That was just plain wrong. This guy, this legendary Dodger guy. But, big home run hitter in the 50s, always hitting 40, 42, 43 homers, big RBI guy. And, Duke Snyder was a guy. You talk about playing against Mantle and Mays, but he broke in. He was going up against DiMaggio as the center fielders. That's how far back. But then Mantle took over, and he was always bucking these great New York center fielders. But Duke was right in there. He could field. He had great power, and I was stoked to see him as a kid in L.A. to come out in '58. He was certainly not what he was, but he was a Dodger, and we got to see him at the L.A. Coliseum, so that was very special.
Yeah, 407 home runs.
Yeah.
And, that was the great moment. Jimmy Pearsall was a Met, and he said to Snyder, boy, you didn't get that much publicity, 407 home runs. When I hit my 100th, I'm going to be on the front page. And Jimmy Pearsall, a little bit of a character, he hit the 100th, and he ran around the bases backwards. And
I remember that.
And he did. And he was on the front page, and Casey Stengel said, there's only room for one clown on this team, and it's me. And they released him. That was it.
You imagine a guy running around backwards. You don't see enough of that, Marty. You really don't. You don't see a guy pick up a ball in right field, instead of throwing home, he just wings it behind him into a lake. You know what I mean?
You got to watch the Savannah Bananas for that.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you on today, and we'll see what this week brings. I'm glad that we could give our love to Pop as well. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Bruce.
Get well, Greg. You're the best.
All right. Talk to you next week. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. More coming up. The Professor next right here on the Sports Leader. Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now and good through August 4th, you can save hundreds of dollars on almost anything in the Stressless line. This includes sofas, sectionals, recliners, and the original Stressless chair and ottoman. And you know I have them in my house. Evan's got one, Bonnie's got one, Aaron's got one. They couldn't be more comfortable. Those Stressless chairs, they're fabulous. Well, the more you spend, the more you save. I own Stressless furniture, and I can tell you, once again, it's the most comfortable place I have to sit in my home. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Vans Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle, Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it. All right, great to have you back with us. Whoa, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Marty. Short night. I was out in San Jose last night watching them continue to be in first place. They won the first half, and Edwin Villegas and Ishikawa and Dan Runzler and Nate out there, Kiwi, they do a great job. So it was fun to see the kids playing last night.
Yeah, and you've mentioned a couple of was it Walker Martin that you mentioned earlier as
Yeah,
someone who
Walker
jumped
Martin.
out?
Yeah, Marty. Sorry to cut you off. I thought you were done there, but yeah, see, he's made big strides this year. He's playing third base now because Maui Ahuna came there to San Jose, and he played so well. He was there for a few weeks, and they bumped him up to Eugene. And now Johnny Level, the prospect, Venezuelan kid that's been in Arizona, has been moved up to San Jose, and it's really fun to see him. And he tore it up down there in Arizona League, one of the best players in the league. So, it's fun to see the prospects and have a chance to get to know them and work with them.
Well, it's good to talk to you about this stuff because, Grant McCray is up. And he smacked one off the wall and another one and just a rocket and turned it into a triple. And, man, once this guy starts running, forget. He could do inside the park home runs on a usual ball that's hit to the outfield. And they threw one away, but it was the speed. Just watching it on TV and imagine being in the park to watch it. Those are the kids I like. And now the kids that you've mentioned, and we've talked about Bo Davidson, Dakota Jordan, and Johnny Level and people like that, do they have that kind of dynamic game that we could watch?
Well, mentioning McCray, he's been in the system for a few years, but for me, he's the most tool-laden, dynamic prospect that we have. Now, Dakota Jordan has a lot of tools. I mean, he's got the power, he's got the big bat, different type of player. He can run, but McCray is at the top of the list for me. Look at his development path. I think he's done very, very well. Also, we want everything now, and it's hard to rush development. A player will let you know when he's ready to play in the big leagues, regardless of what I want or the organization wants or the coaches want. He'll let you know, and some guys take more reps, some guys take less reps. But you're right about McCray. He can throw it. And by the way, you mentioned the throw. He threw one offline yesterday. He's usually pretty accurate. I haven't seen him make a throw like that was offline and the guy took the extra base. But he's got above average arm, above average speed, and power. And he's cut down his strikeouts. That's been the big thing for him is to put the ball in play more. So I'm happy to see him up and getting an opportunity. He has been moving in the right direction, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's a player that you want to see more of. You got to see Eldridge last week. I know it's up in Sacramento. We didn't have a chance to talk about it last Sunday. But how is he doing? Is he making progress?
The biggest thing that I noticed when I went back up to see him, he had that leg injury and he was down in Arizona rehabbing, but was the defensive side of it. When you watch him hit, you can see right away that he has a good idea and he knows what he's doing. You watch him hit in batting practice, excuse me, or even in the games. He had a couple home runs while I was there, one to the pull side that walked off a win for him and one to left center, which he shrinks to park. Either way, he has that type of power. So that was good to see. But his first base play, his footwork, the comfortability around the first base bag is much, much better. And again, you see that we hear these names in these high draft picks, and we expect to snap our fingers and boom, they're ready to go. But no, he's making good progress, and he's looking good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the number one pick for this year, this Colleen kid from Tennessee. He's a bat-to-ball guy, and he's a natural infielder, middle infielder. So I'd love to see this kid play. You haven't seen him yet, have you?
No, but I anticipate, I'm hoping very soon that he'll be moved up to San Jose, which I think is very, very likely. So I'm waiting for the opportunity, maybe even this coming week, to go up there and see him. Like I said, it was nice to see Level. He's a player that stands out instinctively to me. He's a little guy, but he whistles the bat like Altuve. He loves to swing. He's just one of those guys you can see he's got a little different edge to him in the way he plays. I think from my limited experience that, it looks like he has a good feel for the game. So, he'll be there. And if the number one guy comes there, we'll get to see him. And I'm excited to see him too. The organization, Zach and Buster, they definitely want guys that can put the ball in play. You see how important it is the situational hit in the big leagues to win games when you have a good pitching staff and you play close games. So, putting the ball in play is a good attribute to have for our hitters.
Yeah, boy, on the big league level, and not just the Giants, but base running this week, Jazz Chisholm goes halfway on a pop-up to second and gets doubled off. And then you had Ramos on the infield fly rule getting nailed off the bag. What's up with base running in the big leagues? I can't believe it.
Well, Marty, I think we've talked about base running for many, many years, and on the list of importance, it's way down there. And the game used to be played a little differently in that regard, how teams have prepared, what was important to winning. The base stealing and the base running, has gone the other way because, look, that's the league had to put in only 2 throwovers to create more excitement. The Ricky Hendersons, the Lou Brocks. The game was different. And you get what you emphasize in the game, and I just don't think the industry, they all want good base running, but it's not being emphasized, in my opinion, as much as it used to be. We kind of just take it for granted in the hitting and in the pitching, and that all is so sensationalized on how important it is. But good teams do it all. Look at the Brewers. They put pressure on you. They run the bases. And I think everybody wants it too, Marty. Everybody, when you look for players, you want players that are dynamic and have that speed. But it's just not as easy to find these days.
Yeah. And then when you coached third, did you have a lot of people run through the stop sign?
I had one run through the stop sign. I had one run me over. We all remember. Mauricio DeBon. Thanks for bringing it up, Marty. That was my most embarrassing moment in the game. I was way into foul territory, so his turn was way out there, and I brought him way down the line because the ball was in right field. Because you want to bring the runner to you, and then stop him. Sometimes you need more time to make the decision, especially when the ball's in right field. In left field, you can't bring him around the third base bag because he'll get doubled off. But I brought him way around, and then I gave him a late stop. I was halfway to home. He would have had plenty of time to get back, and I was pointing at the ball, stop and pointing at the ball in right field so he could watch the relay in case it gets mishandled. And I next thing I knew, I looked back to third after I stopped him, and he was 2 feet in front of me with his head down, full blast right into me. So it happens. It happens. I've told Nick Hundley one time on a sacrifice fly, I said, Nick, stay, and he took off, and he made it. And catcher, he didn't run good, but I've told players before when they get to third, and I don't do this didn't do it often, but hey, your speed better than me. In a case where we just get a guy in a trade, or maybe he shows up, I haven't seen him on the bases at all because we've had him for a week. In those scenarios, I say, your speed better than me. If you can make it, and I tell you to stay, on a sacrifice fly, you have my blessing to go. Now, if he gets thrown out, I'm not going to trust him again. But you do that with certain players, Crawford's, heads-up players, and players that you haven't had any reps with because you really don't know because you haven't coached them on the bases yet.
Yeah, it is almost a lost art of that good base running. And when you see it, you say, boy, the guy read that single, that blooped in there. He went first to third. That's a big part of the game. It's a big part of the game to be able to do that. So I'm glad we could touch on that. Hey, you and I are going to do a show together on Wednesday, August 13th from 6 to 8 up at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room up in Yountville. And we've done that for a couple of different years, and we're going up to do it again. How about that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First of all, Yountville, right? Everybody that knows Napa and wine country, it doesn't get any better than Yountville, you could hit the French Laundry first if you want, then come on over for drinks, or you can come on over and have the wine and the appetizers there while we talk to the audience. It's downtown Yountville is a great place to go. It's a great event. Priest Ranch wines are very, very good. They have a wine called the Coach Gun that's very good, and they're top of the line. The one I enjoy is the one called the Snake Oil. Marty, have you had the Snake Oil?
I told them. No, but I told them. They asked me this week, and I said, "Woe wants the Snake Oil." That was the one I mentioned for you. I haven't had that yet.
Yeah, it's very, very good, and I love the name, right? How can you beat that? So, yeah, looking forward to doing that again, Marty.
Yeah, by the way, they sent me a little blurb. The ticket includes access to our interview, plus a complimentary glass of Sauvignon Blanc or a non-alcoholic beverage. Additional wines and shareable plates from the kitchen at Priest Ranch will be available for purchase throughout the evening. And tickets are available online at priestranchwines.com. And this is going to be a lot of fun. So that's August 13th from 6 to 8 p.m. Woe and I will be there. One other thing on River Islands, I'm glad to be able to do this stuff with you this morning. 4,000 houses have been sold, adding up to 12,000 people. There's a lot going on there, Woe. How about that? Colleen sent me that today.
Well, I understand why. You think about it. How many places can you live that, features 13 lakes, right? They have 13 lakes. They advertise there's a lot to do. They have trails for bikers, joggers, walkers. They have a mile trail along the San Joaquin River, which is, when you go for a walk, you want to walk in a beautiful area, and they definitely have it. So, and of course, the last thing that would draw me if I, had young kids or kids at all was the education. Really focus on education in their, 3K through 8 schools. They have the latest technology, which is always great, and education is a big deal to the community. So, I understand why the place just keeps moving on, Marty.
Yeah, 15 new neighborhoods. 15 neighborhoods are open now. How about that? 15 neighborhoods. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, I'm glad that she sent that to me this morning. One other thing, and Bruce and I talked about, our dear friend Greg Papa is fighting some cancer, and I know he's listening to the show today, and I know he's a big fan of yours, and you're a big fan of his. So, your thoughts about Pop?
Well, you're right. Our prayers are going out to him and his family. He's a fighter, and I don't know, many details about it, but we're all praying that he's going to get the best treatment, which I know he's in a very good place there, and they're going to take care of this for him because he is a gem in the Bay Area, and we don't want him going anywhere. We need Pop continuing to work in the Bay Area. My goodness, he's done everything, every team in this Bay Area, and he's just a real pro. One thing personally I'd add, you're around a lot of people in the media and stuff, and whenever he comes around and whenever you run into him, he's always so upbeat and personable, and just a great guy. Off the air as he is on the air. So we're all thinking about him, and Pop. Prayers are going out, and recover soon.
Yeah. Hey, he loves talking ball with you. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, when I first started doing NBC, I was real excited because I was hoping I'd get a chance to work with Pop. We've talked so much baseball over the years when he comes down on the field, and he loves the game. And it didn't happen. He had just left and moved on to another position, right, which he's done quite a bit in the Bay Area. But that would have been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, terrific. All right, I'm glad that we could send some love out to Pop this morning. All right, well, we'll talk next week, and enjoy the week, and we'll see what the Giants do with Wisenhunt today and Frankie Montas. So it'd be nice to get a win and get out of New York. It'd be nice to win one today.
Yeah, look, this team, it wasn't easy to take the direction that the organization did. I think it was the prudent and smart move in the long run, considering what has transpired. But this team still wants to win games, and you just never know, right? You just never know. We got new people, and maybe sometimes this can rejuvenate a club. So we'll see what happens. Looking forward to watching the game and talking to you next week, Barty.
Well, that's a Joaquin Andahar, the famous quote. He said, in one word, you never know.
That said, there, and only you, Marty, knew that Joaquin Eindahar said that. Very good.
Right. Okay. All right. Have a good day. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care.
All right. That is Ron Wotus, the professor. Glenn Kyper next, right here on the Sports Leader. Hi, it's Marty Lurie reporting in from my latest visit to River Islands in Lathrop. If you're wondering why River Islands is the most successful lifestyle community in Northern California, let's look at it by the numbers. Listen to this. 15 neighborhoods are now being offered to suit a wide range of home sizes and prices, from the low $600,000s to over $1 million. There are 7 new lakeside neighborhoods with docks for fishing, kayaking, and paddleboarding. I love that. A dozen parks, playing fields, and playgrounds are already open. And don't forget Islanders Field. For 55-plus active adults, Del Webb has its own master plan within the master plan with its own private clubhouse. Construction of the first town center has begun. How about that? With plans for shopping, healthcare, entertainment, and restaurants. River Islands High School and 3 K through 8th grade charter schools are starting their fall term this month. How about that? With so much to see and do, isn't it time for you to discover the islands? It certainly was for me. Go to riverislands.com. All right, great to have you back with us. I'm enjoying the show this morning, and it continues on now with Glenn Kyper, our great friend, and with Carrie Crowley, the host of Giants Warm Up. Glenn, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing all right and getting ready for baseball today. And, what can I say? 4-3 on Friday night, the trade deadline, and all the things that happened to the ball club. And we'll talk about it this morning. But the big question is, where are the Giants right now in the scheme of the National League West and the wild card race? So, Glenn, I'll let you start with that, and we'll get Kerry's thoughts on it.
Well, things have certainly changed in a 2-week stretch, and I think that's the disappointing part to all this. It really was, the final 2 weeks of the month of July, where the Giants lost 12 out of 14, and I mean, if you just think of it, that's a 2-week stretch that really flipped the whole story of the season, because they really went from buyers to sellers because of that 2-week stretch, and that's the disappointing part of it. They were right there in the wild card thing, and then, middle of July, everything just went foul on them, which is hard to figure out. But that's where they're at now, and the problem now, guys, is, they have the same record as the Miami Marlins. I mean, if you can believe that. But that's the reality, and I do think there is a chance here to get hot again. I think today is a huge game. If you could somehow get out of New York taking 2 out of 3, that's pretty good. The Mets are a really, really good team. Tough place to play. No, but then you're going to go to Pittsburgh. You're going to get Washington at home. You're going to have to face Skeens at some point in this Pittsburgh series. But if you could get some momentum. So. No, because I looked.
No, I think Skeens pitched yesterday, so.
He pitched yesterday. Okay. I think they miss him. I thought he was going to pitch to maybe today, but that's good. That's good.
No, but my Falter's gone too. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can play well against Pittsburgh, come home, have a good weekend against Washington, well, then you have the Padres come in for 3. So again, we're looking for opportunities, and there is an opportunity there if the Giants could just, win today and feel good and go into Pittsburgh and have a good series. So we'll see if that indeed happens.
Yeah, they've got to get some pitching together, and that we'll talk about that this morning with 3 of us. What the bullpen looks like now without Rogers and Duvall, it looks dramatically different to me. But I will say this before Carrie jumps in here: the Marlins are playing great, and they've been playing great for a while. And they also brought up a kid from the minor leagues, a center fielder that they're playing now. They came back on the Yankees and beat them in 13-12, and they shut him out yesterday. And, Glenn, you're right. They're a game under 500. And today is Jack McKeon bobblehead day. They're giving it away. And now Jack McKeon, you know him. And, Kerry, I don't know if you ever had the chance to meet Jack McKeon, but the greatest guy in the world. And he sits on the bench, smokes a cigar, and takes his team to the World Series, which he did in 2003 with the Marlins. And the Marlins are the real deal. They're the real deal. They've got some serious pitching. So this whole thing is what baseball is all about. And I'm glad you brought the Marlins up. My sister Renee has already texted me this morning. Renee and Marilyn are the big Marlin fans in Miami. All right, with that said, Carrie Crowley, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, Marty. How are you this morning?
I'm all right. It's an early start, and
Indeed.
Here we go. And what can I say? The trade deadline. I was critical of it in a sense that the Giants didn't bring in anybody. Move some of their minor leaguers for some major league piece. But they chose to go the other way to build up what looks like Sacramento. And hearing the lineup today, The new guys are in there. The catcher from the Yankees is in there, Rodriguez, and Gilbert's in there, the outfielder from the Mets. So I don't know. How do you feel about the ball club and what happened?
Yeah, this is not what I anticipated. I don't think it's what any Giants fan or analyst anticipated just 2 weeks ago. I mean, you think about the All-Star break, and the Giants were positioned to potentially make a run in the National League West, get back in the wild card race. Buster was going to add at the trade deadline. He even said as much on Sunday Night Baseball when the Giants were tied with the Mets and Matt Chapman had just homered. You felt as if that the Giants were going to step on the gas pedal and still try to make this thing compelling down the stretch. But Marty, I told our listeners yesterday, I'm not really talking about outcomes anymore. The Giants have turned their attention to 2026. I don't need to talk about the outcome of yesterday's game. I need to talk about what Grant McCray did in yesterday's game. I need to talk about what Tristan Beck did out of the bullpen, which wasn't good in yesterday's game. We need to start thinking about 2026 and how this team gets back to the playoffs and ends this 10, 11 years of misery, quite frankly. I mean, this is a Giants team that just has been non-competitive for far too long, especially, I mean, you think about teams like the Rockies, the Pirates, the White Sox. They go into the season not expecting to compete. They go into the season knowing that they'll probably lose 90, 95 games. The Giants come in thinking they'll win 90, 95 games. It's been that way for 7, 8 years now, and they're just not coming close. They're not coming remotely close, and it's one of the most frustrating things I think any fan can experience is a team that says they're going to win, that spends like they're going to win, and then loses consistently. I was flummoxed by the 12 and 14 stretch.
All right, Glenn, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to figure out. I mean, listen, I do think in what you said, Marty, about, not getting any big leaguers. And I think, yeah, there's truth to that, but I also think that, trading Yastrzemski opened up a chance to see McCray and Matos. I think the Doval thing with the Yankees, I think they got a right-handed hitting catcher who's, in AAA now that is supposed to be able to hit a little bit. And I know he's I don't know how advanced he is as a catcher, but I do know that they're looking for some offensive help behind home plate, and we all understand that. So I think that's so. No, you did not get automatic big leaguers right away, but I think there's a method to this that there are guys that are close that could help, and the McCray thing, and the outfielder Gilbert. Who's close. So I do think there's some people that you're probably going to see. But yeah, I mean, listen, I just said it. Carrie just said it. 2.5 weeks ago, this was we're going to get a second baseman. We're going to get another starting pitcher. But you lose 12 out of 14. What are you supposed to do? I think they did the right thing. I do. But that doesn't mean it's any less frustrating. I find it to be extremely frustrating. What happened, because you just can't quite figure it out. This was a team that played good baseball early in the year. They played clean baseball. They played fundamental baseball. They hit with runners in scoring position. All the stuff they were doing at the beginning of the year, they just stopped doing. And that's really hard to figure out with it. You just can't. And I think that's part of the frustration this year is because you saw this team do good things and be a good team early on for the first, maybe 6 weeks. And then it kind of went away. And just to look for an explanation for that, I just don't know that there is one. But that to me makes it more frustrating because you did see this team be a pretty good team early on.
Well, I always say it's not the record early in the season. It's how you win and lose, how you play. And right now, the starting pitching is, three starting pitchers and 2 you don't know what you're going to get. The bullpen without Rogers and Duvall is really a mess. And Carrie, you brought up Beck. He didn't do very well yesterday, and you got that issue dealing. It's how they play the game right now. And Ramos running into outs and. Defensively, my God, Lindor dropped a bunt down yesterday, and it looked like the Keystone Cops. no one knew where to go, and that was the other night too with Schmidt and Devers. It's the way they're playing, guys, and that to me is bigger than anything else right now. And get your thoughts on that. And I don't know, is it reflect on Bob Melvin? Is this something that, hey, the ball club better pull it together a little bit, or else maybe he's in jeopardy? What do you think about that, Kerr?
Yeah, I think that when you watch this team play, Marty, and you watch the fundamental mistakes, it hurts Giants fans in a way that maybe the 22 and 23 and 24 teams didn't, because we saw what this team was capable of in spring training and in April and in early May. We know what the ceiling is like, and when Buster Posey came back to the organization, it really built a new connection among Giants fans back to this team, back to this franchise that I don't know it existed since Buster was last on the field in 2021. And I think that's why Giants fans are so frustrated over the mistakes that they see, because we were of the belief that this year would be different. And we had every reason to believe based on what we'd seen on the field. And so when this team goes into the tailspin that it does, when you start to see mistakes that are uncharacteristic of this year's squad and more characteristic of what you saw the last 3 seasons, how could it not reflect on the manager, the coaching staff, and on the people at the very top of the organization as well? It's kind of a team-wide and organization-wide failure when something like this happens. So you brought up the question about Bob Melvin. Do I think he's individually responsible for Elliot Ramos' base running mistakes? No. Do I think he's individually responsible for Tyler Rogers and Casey Schmidt not being able to get that play over at first base against the Pittsburgh Pirates on Tuesday night? No, I don't. But at the end of the day, this is the worst the Giants performed for a month since September of 2023, which is when Gabe Kapler's job was safe, and all of a sudden he was fired. And to me, it's quite honestly the worst they've looked since September of 2018, when they went 5-21 in games that they were trying to win that month, and Bobby Evans lost his job. And all of that is to say, when the Giants play this poorly and when they look this bad, someone typically pays the price. Now, I don't know who that's going to be. It's obviously not going to be Buster Posey, a first-year president of baseball operations. But you start to look around, and in professional sports, the blame goes somewhere. I'm not the person who's going to determine where that blame goes, but my sense is if this continues, someone will be blamed for it, and Bob Melvin would probably be high on the list because the president of baseball operations is safe. The general manager's first year on the job, he's probably safe. So I just think when you play like this, it opens up questions like the one you just asked, Marty.
Yeah, Glenn, you know how baseball works. First it's the coaches, then it's the manager, then the general manager. Are we at that level here?
No, I mean, I don't think Bob Melvin's not going anywhere. I mean, he's going to be the manager next year. Now the coaching staff, I mean, that's a different story. I don't know, but nobody from that front office is going anywhere, and the manager's not going anywhere. And I tend to agree with Carrie on, listen, and I have stuck up for Bob numerous times, and I know some people think, well, you know him and all that. No, I just think, listen, Carrie said best, is it Bob Melvin's fault that Elliot Ramos isn't sure of the infield fly rule? These guys are at the big league level, so they need to be told the infield fly rule. Dominic Smith's a very good first baseman. He doesn't throw home yesterday. It's like, well, what are we doing? Ryan Walker last week in the extra inning game against the Pirates, he's got the out at home to keep the game tied. Instead, he tries for a double. They're just making these mental mistakes that, to me, I don't think that at the big league level you should have to tell these guys what to do in these situations. They should know what to do in these situations. And that's what's kind of head-scratching to me. And listen, I honestly believe that Buster has a view of the kind of players that he wants. He has seen what kind of players you have to win. He's played on teams that have won, obviously, and I think he is evaluating players, saying, is that the kind of guy that is going to win for us? Is that the kind of guy I like? He likes smart players. He likes guys who don't make mistakes. He likes fundamentally sound guys, and he likes guys who play defense because that's important. And I think if any of the players, if any of those players have that question surrounding them, then I think that he may look to go in a different direction. Because, there's some guys that are playing a lot for the Giants, and they're making mistakes, and they're hurting the team, and there's some regression defensively. And I think these things are going to be looked at, and I think Buster has a picture of what kind of player he wants to get this organization going in the right direction. And if you don't fit it, then I think he will look to find somebody that does. He's got Chapman, he's got Adamas. So you continue to watch. But if a guy continues to make the same mistakes or continues to play poor defensively, then maybe that's not your guy, right? So I don't know. I think it's a major evaluation period the next 2 months.
Yeah, 51 games, and to do what you just said and to play good baseball, maybe to save the player's job. Maybe that's where it all starts, is what you're trying to say here. Let's switch subjects just for a minute. Did you guys see the beginning of the Bristol game last night? Carrie, did you see the downpour they were playing in?
Oh, my goodness, Smarty. I feel genuinely bad about what happened at Bristol last night. Look, MLB is getting roasted for this, and I just think, you try these games, you want them to succeed. The Giants had the incredible Rickwood Field game a few years ago. You've seen the Field of Dreams game work. I just think it's such an unfortunate situation what happened with the weather in Bristol, because it had the potential to be really cool. I don't think MLB was quite prepared for the possibility of weather in Tennessee, which, if that's the case, what are you doing? That's what happens in Tennessee. But I really feel genuinely bad for everyone who was attending that game, because I thought it was going to be a really cool opportunity to showcase the game of baseball, and very clearly it was a disaster, huh?
I've never seen a game played in a torrential downpour like that. Glenn, have you ever seen that before?
No, it was too bad. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a very cool thing. You try everything, to get the game in. But yeah, that was unfortunate. What can you do? I mean, maybe you just, I don't know, maybe you don't start the thing at all and just say, let's regroup and do this tomorrow. I don't know. It's super unfortunate, because Major League Baseball does a nice job with these. Last year the Rickwood game was unbelievable. I like what they're doing, where they're trying these cool venues and making these games really special. But sometimes Mother Nature has other ideas. But maybe the best thing to do is just not even start it and just regroup and say, all right, let's do this again tomorrow. But
they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing it today. Raph, our weatherman, has looked up the weather in Tennessee. Says it's very promising today. So at 10 o'clock our time, I think they're going to give it another shot. And the NASCAR fans are very hardy. It's a hardy breed. They may have spent the whole night at the ballpark.
It is a hardy breed. Yeah, that would be a fun scene. I've never been to a NASCAR event, or I would love to go. I mean, you're talking about 80, 90, 100,000 people, and they are having a good time. That's sort of on a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah, Carrie, have you ever been to a speedway like that?
I never have, and it's always been on my list. Daytona 500 or Talladega. Those are two places that I want to get to. Bristol, I drove past, actually. I drove one year kind of halfway across the country, so had the opportunity to see that, but never have actually attended a race, and that is definitely on my sporting bucket list. You know what? It's not quite NASCAR, but the Indy 500, if I were to ever go to a motorsports event in the United States, Indy 500 is up there for motorsports for me.
All right. How about driving 280 in the morning? Does that do it for you?
There's nothing quite like getting on the open road and driving 280, Marty. That's it's as
All
close as you're going to get to NASCAR in the Bay Area. Other
All
than
right. Well,
Infineon,
I walked past Daytona, and I still to this day, and I don't know. I guess I was at the University of Florida in those days. I must have gone to Daytona for a weekend. And we passed the speedway, and to look at the banked turn, how big it was and how high it was, I'll never forget. I said, how does anybody drive on this thing? And that's the craziest part. And Joe Davis said last night when he walked on the bank turn, he thought he was going to fall off. That's how steep it was.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I mean, we really don't have great perspective of what these places, what these venues are like, because we've spent our entire lives at baseball stadiums. You know, we go and we think that the biggest difference in fields is 309 out to right field and 321 at other venues, and a brick wall versus a low padded wall. And then you go out to these places, and my goodness, it's just a totally different world.
I thought Comiskey was steep. Remember, Glenn, how the new Comiskey, how steep it was in the upper deck?
Oh yeah, they had to redo it. I mean, people were not going up there. Yeah, you saw what happened when there was an incline on a baseball field in Houston that lasted like 5 years, and then they said, "This is the stupidest thing ever. Take it down." Remember the incline in center field?
Of course, yeah, with the Taos pole, whatever they called it.
Yeah.
Taos Smith's Hill, whatever they. Oh boy! All right, it's great. Good Sunday morning. We all have given our best wishes to Greg Papa this morning on the show, and I want you guys to have a chance to. I know Greg is listening, and he listens to our show all the time. And Greg, we love you, and you know we've said it a million times this morning. But Glenn, Carrie, Glenn, you can start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he really, you know, outside of just, I mean, the guy is so incredibly talented. You know, you listen to him on the radio, and his recall and the amount of knowledge he has in his head is just, I mean, I'm amazed by it. So not only a talented guy, but he's been a really good friend. You know, we've had a lot of conversations in the last couple of years, and we've talked a lot about, you know, different things that happened, and he's been a terrific friend. He's been, you know, helpful in a lot of different ways. And you know, I certainly wish him the best. I mean, it's a bummer, but it's you know, it's Greg. He's tough, you know, tough New York guy, and you know he's going to be fine. But man, I miss him a lot. You know, Niner fans are going to miss him, but you know he'll fight through this. But I do want Greg to know how much I appreciate his friendship and all the you know the times we've chatted in the last couple of years about lots of different things. And he's been a big help for me, and I love the guy. So Greg, hang in there, buddy, and you know we miss you and can't wait to get back.
Good, Care.
Oh, I mean, Greg, the authority. There's nothing I enjoy more than a good segment on KNBR with Greg Papa where we can get into the nitty-gritty details of Giants baseball or 49ers football. Marty, you know, we love our special teams conversations. There's no one who lets me nerd out on KNBR and talk gunners and upbacks and the different mechanics of special teams, quite like Greg, who just has an eye for every part of every sport. I mean, I've opened shows with him where he's done 15 minutes breaking down Golden State Warriors man-to-man defensive tendencies and looking at Giants bullpen options and seeing who throws the most quality breaking balls. I mean, he is a true diehard sports fan. We've been so lucky to have him on KNBR, and I'll echo what Mike Holler said the other morning. Greg knows this. I can't wait until he's back on KNBR. I can't wait till I'm back talking with Greg on KNBR. Continue the fight. I know no one's fighting harder. Just someone I look up to, I love, and I can't wait to be back doing what we love the most, Marty.
Yeah, Pop and I have a good relationship. He's helped me tremendously in my career. I said, other than Gary Radnich, Pop has always been there. And I tell Pop, other than Jenkins and me, he probably knows as much baseball, but not quite as we do. But he only goes back to the 60s. Bruce and I can go back another 10 years. So we tease him about that, but love him, and he's a fighter, and I'm so glad that we could acknowledge him and that he could have those feelings today. Guys, good job.
Absolutely.
Care, have a great show today. Glenn, we'll talk to you later. And, next week it's the Nats in town, and let's see if the Giants can get something done today. So, Carrie, it's all yours.
All right, he is Marty Lurie. That's it for Talkin' Baseball, an extended edition this morning as we carry over into Giants warm-up. We got Giants baseball on the radio. First pitch coming your way at 10:40 a.m. Pacific time. The Giants and the Mets, the rubber match in Queens as this team tries to claw its way back to 500. So much more on the other side, including today's lineups. Appreciate Glenn and Marty for the great conversation this morning. Appreciate all of you turning in on a beautiful Sunday morning here in San Francisco and around the Bay Area. You're listening to KNBR, the sports leader. We are back. Good morning, folks. Carrie, Crowley hanging out with you on KNBR. Giants warm-up as we get set for Giants baseball coming your way from Citi Field in Queens, New York. A Sunday afternoon game out in New York on the East Coast. And a Sunday morning game, baseball for breakfast, as I like to say, here on KNBR. Well, the approach has certainly changed. I touched on this yesterday. We spent all season long talking about the playoff race, the division, competing with the Dodgers, the Padres. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, everything has shifted here on KNBR, here on Giants Warm-Up. We're focused on 2026 because that's the focus of the San Francisco Giants. And quite frankly, folks, you're going to get a good window into 2026 today as left-hander Carson Whisenhunt makes his second start of his Major League career for the Giants. Faced the Pittsburgh Pirates earlier this week, had a rough go of it early on against the Pirates, but did battle his way through 5 innings. I was impressed by the way that Whisenhunt settled in. He faces a much tougher New York lineup today. We will see how that fastball changeup combination works. He threw 85 pitches against the Pirates earlier this week, and we will see if that slider becomes more of a factor, as we know that these Mets hitters will be sitting on that changeup. They got him through the minor leagues. It's an elite pitch, one of the best off-speed offerings in this Giants organization. It was that way when he was down at AAA, and it is now that way with Whisenhunt at the Major League level. So, with that, let's give you the lineups for today's ballgame. For San Francisco, Bob Melvin's club, it's Elliot Ramos leading things off. The left fielder, 14 homers, 50 runs driven in, a 266 average, and a 759 OPS. Bob Melvin sticking with Rafael Devers in the number 2 slot in the order. He's striking out about 40% of the time these days. 19 homers, 73 runs driven in, 254 average, and an 829 OPS for Devers on the season. Remember, he came over to San Francisco with a 905 OPS, so it has dropped dramatically since his arrival in San Francisco. Willy Adames in the 3 spot in the order today. 17 homers, 59 runs driven in, 235 average for Adames, and a 733 OPS. He's been one of baseball's best players since the start of the second half of the season. It's just happened to come at a time when the Giants have been one of baseball's worst teams. Matt Chapman in the cleanup spot today. 16 homers, 42 runs batted in, 232 average, and a 786 OPS. Dominic Smith down in the 5 spot today. 3 homers, 15 runs batted in, 272, and a 764 OPS for Dominic Smith, who had the game-winning RBI on Friday night. Casey Schmidt trying to carve out a role as the everyday second baseman for the San Francisco Giants. Headed into 2026, he gets the call at second base today, batting 6th for Melvin's club. 5 homers, 18 runs batted in, a 248 average, and a 715 OPS. He's followed closely in the order by Jung-Hoo Lee. Started to turn around his season a little bit. Jung-Hoo Lee's been much better over the course of the last month. 6 homers, 44 runs batted in. Lee, a speed threat, 7 stolen bases. Giants would like to see that number really double over the next 2 months. A 251 average and a 717 OPS for Lee. Followed in the lineup by Patrick Bailey, who got the day off yesterday. The switch hitter will bat from the left side against Frankie Montas, who gets the start for New York. 2 homers, 29 runs batted in for Bailey, a 209 average, 568 OPS. And then Grant McCray went 2 for 4 yesterday. Did have a really bad strikeout. He is Mike Yastrzemski's replacement out in right field, and he gets the start in the number 9 slot in the order. No homers, of course, for McCray. 1 run driven in, 333 average, and 1,000 OPS in a very, very limited stint this season. He was called up on Friday to start this series against the Mets. And here's how New York will set up its own lineup. Brandon Nimmo, the leadoff man, 19 homers, 63 runs batted in, 12 stolen bases for Nimmo, a 261 average, a 781 OPS. He's been solid out in the outfield for New York. Francisco Lindor, the switch-hitting shortstop, will bat second. He'll hit from the right side against Whisenhunt today. 20 home runs, 63 runs batted in, a 251 average, and a 750 OPS for Lindor. The $765 million man, Juan Soto, in the 3 spot today. 25 homers, 63 RBIs, 16 stolen bases for Soto, whose speed, sneaky, impresses me on the base pass. Wish the Giants would take some risks when they get out there. 247, 863 OPS for Soto. He's followed closely in the order in the 4 spot by Pete Alonso. The slugging first baseman has 24 homers this year, 86 runs driven in, a 262 average, and an 861 OPS. Starling Marte, the designated hitter today for New York. 4 homers, 21 batted in, a 282 average, and a 770 OPS. I remember it was 2021 when Marte was traded over to the A's at the deadline, and then he was stealing bases right and left for Bob Melvin's club at the time. Ultimately, things did not work out for the A's that season. They ran into a buzzsaw in the Giants at the Coliseum in August, and their season went into a tailspin After that, Jeff McNeil, who's the DH yesterday, he's the second baseman today. For New York, 9 homers, 33 runs batted in, a .248 average and a .795 OPS. Mark Vientos over at third base. Right-handed hitter has 7 homers, 31 driven in, .235 average and a .657 OPS. They've got Vientos. I like Ronnie Mauricio better. I really do. I think Mauricio gives them a little more excitement on the base pass, a little more speed coming out of that batter's box. Cedric Mullins, the 8th place hitter for New York, came over in the big trade from Baltimore. 15 homers, 49 runs batted in. 15 stolen bases this season for Mullins, who plays a great center field, .229 average, a .735 OPS. And Carlos Mendoza will round out his lineup with the catcher Francisco Alvarez down in the 9th spot today. 4 homers, 13 batted in on the season for Alvarez, who's dealt with some injuries and been sent back and forth to AAA for New York. .243 average and a .705 OPS. We're going to discuss Carson Whisenhunt at length this morning. The Giants left-hander has got to show something over the final 10-11 starts of this season. Buster Posey, Zach Manassi, and Bob Melvin all eager to learn more about 2026, the potential for Whisenhunt to hold down a spot in this rotation. Kai-Wei Tang took the ball yesterday. I don't think the Giants view him as a 2026 rotation candidate, and certainly not after yesterday's outing against New York. But Whisenhunt, he's viewed in a different light, and he's got a lot to prove right now at the major league level. More coming up all morning long here as First Pitch comes your way at 10:40 on KNBR. We're locked and loaded with Giants content. Until then, on the Sports Leader.
When the game is over, hear the post-game wrap with John, Dave, Kruk, and Kite on KNBR and KNBR FM, San Francisco.
We are back here on Giants Warm Up. Carrie, Crowley rolling with you this morning, getting you set for first pitch coming your way from Queens, New York, Citi Field, where Frankie Montas, former Oakland Athletic, former Cincinnati Red, and current New York Met, will face the San Francisco Giants. He'll be opposed by the young left-hander Carson Whisenhunt. Just a few weeks ago, I thought, you know what, Whisenhunt may be spending the rest of the season in the minor leagues. His inning count has been high this season. The Giants, they've got to step on the gas pedal. They've got to go for it. They've got to go acquire a starting pitcher at the trade deadline and figure out how to bolster this rotation. It's leaking oil a little bit. When Landon Roop went on the IL, when Hayden Birdsong was sent back to AAA after the troubling start in Atlanta against the Braves, and then, all of a sudden, the Giants completely floundered, going into a tailspin that ultimately dictated how Buster Posey would approach the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Instead of buying, this Giants team sold. Tyler Rogers goes to the Mets. Saw him yesterday. Camilo Doval goes to the Yankees, last seen blowing a save on Friday in his team debut. And Mike Yastrzemski goes to the Kansas City Royals, last seen hitting a home run in his team debut, his very first at bat against former Giant Kevin Gossman for the Royals against those Blue Jays. So, with the Giants rotation decimated, with Posey deciding, you know what, we need to send players out instead of bringing players in to this organization at the major league level, Carson Whisenhunt has been given an opportunity, and it's one that I think he could have for the remainder of this regular season, because I think the Giants are eager to learn what the left-hander can do in extended stints at the big league level. And what I mean by this is Whisenhunt has essentially proven himself at AAA. The ERA wasn't great, and the starts that you saw in late June, early July suggested that Whisenhunt was feeling some of the fatigue that is associated with going through a full minor league season. But this is someone who kind of shot through the Giants organization in large part because of an electric changeup. And he's got a nice mid-90s fastball. The velocity is down of late, but I think it will ultimately creep back up next season. But Whisenhunt right now trying to get by on that fastball, trying to prove that the fastball changeup combination is good enough at the big league level for him to succeed, because 85 pitches against the Pittsburgh Pirates last week on Monday, and he threw just 9 sliders. And to me, to be a successful pitcher in a starting rotation in the major leagues, generally speaking, you need to throw 3+ pitches, or at least 2+ and 1 you trust. So for Whisenhunt, he trusts the fastball. I think it can be a plus pitch when the velocity is 94 to 96. I don't think it's there right now. The changeup is a plus pitch. It is his best offering. It is how he will get by at the major league level. But just 9 sliders suggests to me, against a Pittsburgh team that was sitting changeup, that he doesn't trust that pitch, that he doesn't have the feel for it. And again, it doesn't need to be plus, but at this point of his career, coming up to the major league level, he needs to have a feel for it. And that's what I'm looking for today against the New York Mets. If Whisenhunt goes 85 to 90 pitches today, I want to see that slider a little bit more. I'd like to see it 15 to 20 times. I'd like to see him using it in situations where Mets hitters aren't exactly sitting on it. 2-1, 3-1. You have to trust that a breaking ball can keep these hitters off balance when they're looking changeup, when they can catch up to the fastball very easily, because it's not velocity that's going to blow you away. But when they're sitting on that changeup, you have to be able to mix a third pitch in there. I thought the Pirates in the first inning of last week's ball game against San Francisco and Carson were sitting on that changeup. They anticipated that would be the offering. They hit some deep fly balls, and it's a Mets lineup that's far more potent. I worry about this kid. And so I'm interested to see how Whisenhunt fares. I'm excited to see him potentially later this week against the Washington Nationals at home at Oracle Park, and then the following weekend against the Tampa Bay Rays. That's how things are kind of shaping up for Carson Whisenhunt. I think that the Giants have essentially created a bit of a soft landing spot for this young kid out of East Carolina, former second-round draft pick in 2023. And they've got a real opportunity to test him against some lineups that have been destabilized a little bit over the last few weeks. Obviously, this Mets team is really good. It is added at the deadline. You see Cedric Mullins in there today. They've fortified their bullpen, so Wisenhunt doesn't have to worry about that. But it's a more complete roster than it was when the Giants saw them last weekend at Oracle Park. Now, what can Wisenhunt do, and what can the Giants do? Because he's not the only player that I'm interested in watching over the next few weeks. There are some everyday guys in this lineup who I think are looking to carve out roles. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Casey Schmidt does for the remainder of this Giants season and how Buster Posey and Zach Manassian evaluate Schmidt's work at second base and in the lineup for this ball club. In large part because for the last few seasons, the Giants have penciled in a young infielder to their starting lineup entering spring training, have counted on that infielder through Cactus League play, and even this season have gone into the regular season giving at-bats, giving opportunities to an infielder who just wasn't ready. 2 years ago, after the Giants cut ties with Brandon Crawford, Farhan Zaidi said, the shortstop position is Marco Luciano's to take over. They got to spring training, and Luciano struck out in more than 50% of his plate appearances. He was simply unplayable at the plate, and he was worse in the field. They brought him up in 2023, and he could not handle the shortstop position after Nick Ahmed was ushered out of the organization. It was an abject disaster that the Giants' evaluation on Luciano was to keep him at shortstop. Had he been an outfielder at that point, had he been a second baseman at that point, maybe you could have suffered through some of the struggles you saw at the plate. But you simply couldn't have a player handling the most important position on the infield, making the kind of mistakes that Luciano was, having the kind of confidence issues that Luciano was. It was, in my opinion, maybe the single worst player evaluation of the Farhan Zaidi era in San Francisco. And there were a lot of bad ones. There were a lot of ones where he was optimistic. There were a lot of ones where he was hopeful. The Luciano one tied them to a player and ultimately tied them to a backup in Nick Ahmed at the beginning of the season, where it was just going to be a net negative at a critical position all season long. So, what do they do this year? Buster Posey comes into the season, in his first year as president of baseball operations, anointing Tyler Fitzgerald as the everyday second baseman. And based on what you saw at the end of last season, the second half for Tyler Fitzgerald, there was at least a realistic possibility that Fitzgerald could claim an everyday job. He went on a home run binge from late July to early August that suggested that he could have impact power at a position where the Giants historically haven't counted on power and impacting the baseball. It's been more of a glove-first spot for this San Francisco team. Of course, Joe Panik comes up in 2014 in the road to the World Series. Panik doesn't hit for power, but he does hit .305 that year and does play really well. In 2012, it was Marco Scutaro coming over at the deadline, hitting .364 with an .835 OPS. That was incredible to watch. We will never forget the summer of Scutaro. And in 2010, you had Freddie Sanchez, a number of other players manning the position over the course of that regular season. So, the Giants come into this season with Tyler Fitzgerald projected as their everyday second baseman. They give him opportunity after opportunity, and June comes around and they simply couldn't do it anymore. Like Luciano, he was striking out a rate that was far too high. His defense wasn't holding him back, but it wasn't the net positive the Giants anticipated at the second base position. So when Matt Chapman got healthy in late June, coming off that hand injury that he suffered diving back into first base, it was Chapman at third, it was Adames at short, it was a rotation at first, but they wanted Schmidt to seize the day at second base. And so far, we've seen competent play. We've seen, in my opinion, average production at the plate. He hit 2 grand slams in June in L.A., one, of course, off of Yoshinobu Yamamoto that was a no-doubter, and one off of Kike Hernandez. He's got 5 homers on the season, a couple of no-doubters involved there, one in Colorado, one in Atlanta, of course, the Giants' most recent road trip before this one. But he's only got 18 RBIs this season. Schmidt hasn't been great with runners in scoring position. The average sitting at 248. The OPS is playable at 715. I just wonder if that's good enough for Buster Posey to bank on heading into 2026. So I think what the spotlight today and what the spotlight every 5th day potentially down the stretch could be on Carson Wisenhunt, as long as the Giants are ready to continue running this left-handed pitching prospect out there, as long as he continues trying to hone a third pitch, or at least trying to emphasize the third pitch at the major league level. I'm interested and focused on what they do at second base. If Schmidt can give them enough over the course of the final 50-plus games, because I don't think that a 2-month evaluation period is a great way to go about naming a starter for the second half, or excuse me, for the first half of next season, is a great way to go about figuring out your roster and how you will build it. But at the same time, I think the Giants are evaluating much more than just 2 months of Casey Schmidt here. Last year when Tyler Fitzgerald came up, it was really their first chance to see what he could do in an extended playing time opportunity. They've seen Casey Schmidt before. He was up in 23, and he was a mess at the plate. He was chasing pitches outside the strike zone. He wasn't walking. He was a completely different player than he is right now. They saw him a bit in 2024, and I think they would have liked to have given him more of an opportunity. But I do think that the sample size you've got with Casey Schmidt and that you will gain by watching Casey Schmidt over the course of the second half this season will be indicative of what the Giants can project this offseason. I think you are a better team if you enter 2026 with Schmidt as a super utility man, someone who could plug in at second base, at shortstop, at third base when needed. But this is also a Giants team that might not be keen on spending big money on a second baseman. And you're a few years away, realistically, from 2025 first-round draft pick Gavin Keelan making his way to the major league level, and in all likelihood, he could be a second baseman. You're probably a few years away from Willy Adames needing to transition away from the shortstop position. Can they bank on Adames providing plus defense at shortstop in 26 and 27? I think they'll go in at least in 26 anticipating that Adames will play shortstop, but at some point that defense is going to tail off, and it's going to tail off in dramatic fashion because that's what happens to major leaguers in their early 30s. We just don't think that because in San Francisco, Brandon Crawford was the anomaly. You go around Major League Baseball, and the number of players in the last quarter century, the last 30, 40 years, who've manned the shortstop position in their mid-30s is a list of Hall of Famers, near Hall of Famers, and Brandon Crawford. It was Cal Ripken, it was Barry Larkin, it was Derek Jeter, and it was Crawford. Trey Turner doing some of that right now for the Philadelphia Phillies in his early to mid-30s, but there's rumors that he's going to be moved off the position this year. So at what point do the Giants feel that way about Adames? I don't know. That's a question for probably next offseason. But when you make the moves the Giants did at the trade deadline, when you start to prioritize the future, every question about this very future comes into focus. Every question about the roster, every question about Buster Posey's decision-making and how all of the pieces of this 2026 Giants puzzle start to fit together, those are all the ones that we will ask here on this show. Giants warm-up, as I said with Marty Lurie, as I said yesterday, is no longer about evaluating outcomes in the year 2025. Sure, we'll talk about individual games when they rise to that level. Yesterday's didn't. Who cares that the Giants lost 12-6 and fell a game under 500? This team hasn't been good for 2 months. This team isn't in the playoff race, and they showed it the other day. We're going to focus on the future, talk about the players who are going to impact potential wins in San Francisco moving forward. And that means a much closer look at the likes of Carson Wisenhunt. It means a much closer look at the likes of Casey Schmidt. And it means, of course, we will consider the outfield options as well. Grant McCray went 2 for 4 yesterday, playing right field after the Giants traded Mike Yastrzemski. We'll look at Drew Gilbert down in AAA Sacramento, who had an RBI triple yesterday. We will look at all the different players who could help the Giants over the final 50 games and see what tools, what abilities they have that could ultimately impact a winning ball club moving forward, because there's been way too much losing in San Francisco. We didn't think that this season would end like this. We were barreling toward another year in San Francisco, in the city by the bay, where the Giants are once again going to disappoint relative to their own internal expectations. And again, industry analysts said, 4th place, industry analysts said, maybe 500. That was not Buster Posey's vision. I judged the Giants on their expectations. I judge the Giants on what Buster thinks is this team is capable of. I don't look at what MLB.com or The Athletic or Fangraphs projects the beginning of the season. I think that's useful. I think that's a tool. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I judge them based on what they expect they will do. And that metric, the Giants are failing in that regard this year. I'm Carrie Crowley. The show is Giants Warm-Up. When we come back, a lot more around Major League Baseball. We'll keep you updated on all the action that you may have missed on Saturday afternoon when the Giants fell in blowout fashion to the New York Mets. Rubber match of a 3-game set in New York. Carson Wisenhunt on the hill here on KNBR, the sports leader.
And look, we understand it's Oracle Park. This is the toughest, or certainly one of the toughest home run parks in the game. Chapman blasts one. Left field. It is gone. Matt Chapman ties the game with one swing. And that's right what we were saying. Giants hadn't hit a home run in the series until then. That's one way to forget about the runners in scoring position. Just hit one out. And Matt Chapman did.
Well, if you're wondering why we played a Matt Chapman home run from last Sunday's game at Oracle Park, we had to find a home run of the week, which is sponsored by Pacific Catch, the Bay's favorite seafood destination. And thank you to the great folks at Pacific Catch for making this possible. But the Giants did not make our job easy this week. Monday, no home runs. Tuesday, no home runs. Wednesday, you guessed it, no home runs. A day off on Thursday, so we'll cut them some slack. Couldn't hit a home run that day. Friday and Saturday in Queens, yet no home runs. The only home run the Giants have produced in the last 7 days. Matt Chapman against the New York Mets. We could have taken either of his blasts, but we'll take that one. Dave Fleming noting how difficult it is to hit a homer inside Oracle Park. Well, the Giants have made it exceedingly challenging this season as their offense has gone silent way too many times. So, with that, Giants warm-up continues. I am Carrie Crowley. We will continue bringing you Giants baseball throughout the course of this 2025 season. Rubber match today between the Giants and the Mets in Queens, New York, sitting at 63-48. They're 21 over 500 at home this year, 38-17 inside their friendly confines at Citi Field. The Giants, meanwhile, 55-56, 27-30 on the road. They lost yesterday. 12-6, Kai Tang took the loss. 0-1 on the season now after he made his 2025 debut. Reed Garrett got the win out of the bullpen for New York. Here are the other scores from around Major League Baseball on Saturday. Tampa Bay Rays shut out the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yandy Diaz hit 2 home runs off of Blake Snell, who took his first loss as a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. 1-1 now, 3.21 ERA for Snell. Drew Rasmussen having a really nice season down in Tampa. 9-5, a 2.81 earned run average. Pitching well at George Steinbrenner Field, the spring training home of the New York Yankees. There was some notes, meanwhile, about the Rays potentially hosting home playoff games at George Steinbrenner Field, but they have fallen off for the last few weeks. They're now 55-57. Doesn't seem like that is going to happen. The Baltimore Orioles won 4-3 on Saturday afternoon. A late comeback, Gunnar Henderson hit a 3-run home run in that ball game off of Caleb Tealbar, who took the loss. Keegan Aiken gets the save out of the bullpen for Baltimore, which, of course, had its bullpen decimated at the trade deadline. Bunch of guys traded away by the Orioles who did not in any way, shape, or form have a season that they anticipated. The Blue Jays won 4-2 over the Kansas City Royals. Max Scherzer threw a dandy. He's now 2-1 with a 4.39 earned run average. Noah Cameron takes the loss in that one. Royals made a few errors in that ball game. Mental errors, one physical miscue that ultimately led Toronto to win that one. Jeff Hoffman saved number 26, the big free agent pickup, going well out of the bullpen for Toronto. Rockies won yet again yesterday over the Pittsburgh Pirates after a 17-16 thriller on Friday night. They fell behind 8-0 in the first inning, came all the way back to win that ball game. Rockies now 30-80. They climb back to 50 games under 500 for those of you keeping track at home. Hill got the win out of the bullpen. Ashcraft takes the loss for a Pittsburgh team that's 17 under 500. The Giants will see at PNC Park Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. We saw a incredible pitching matchup yesterday between the Tigers and the Phillies, but it was far more high-scoring than we expected when Tarek Skubal faced Zach Wheeler. Skubal improves to 11-3 with a 2.18 earned run average after Detroit won 7-5 over Wheeler's Phillies. He falls to 9-5, 2.64 earned run average. Kyle Finnegan, save number 21 on the season, traded from Washington and immediately steps into the closer job for Detroit. Does a nice job on Saturday afternoon. The Brewers win 8-2 over the Washington Nationals yesterday. Brandon Woodruff, what a story he's been off the IL this season. I mean, no one anticipated anything from Woodruff coming off of the major shoulder injury that he dealt with, kept him out of the game for more than a year and a half. He's now 3-0 with a 2.22 earned run average. He's got that electric fastball back. Jake Irvin takes the loss for the Nationals, who had just 2 hits in yesterday's ball game. 8-6 Irvin is now with a 4.89 earned run average. Some bad news for Milwaukee, though, which is 22 games over 500. What a stretch they've been on in a great baseball town. Milwaukee's fun when that team gets rolling. The Miz goes on the IL. Jacob Mizorowski, who, of course, was the controversial all-star pick after making just 5 starts this season. He's on the IL. I think it's a quad contusion. It could be an effort to manage innings for the Milwaukee rookie so that he could be ready to go come October. But nevertheless, it's a story that most folks around baseball will be following for the course of the next 2 months. Boston Red Sox improved to 10 games over 500 with a 7-3 victory over the Houston Astros. Wilson gets the win. Chapman saved number 20 out of that Boston bullpen. The Astros 13 over 500, leading the American League West. The Red Sox taking off in the AL East. They look like they're going to be a playoff team this year. Guardians win 5-4 over the Minnesota Twins, who was any team more decimated than Twins at the trade deadline? Minnesota just tearing everything down, save for Joe Ryan and, of course, Byron Buxton, their star center fielder. They're 8 games under 500 right now. They're 14 under 500 on the road, and that sweep the Giants suffered in Minnesota at Target Field looks worse with each passing day. Enright the win for the Guardians, and Hunter Gaddis gets the save out of the bullpen for Cleveland, a team that's lost Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase to that Major League Baseball gambling investigation that's taking place in Cleveland. Saw a tweet yesterday from Zach Mizell, beat writer for The Athletic, who said that both of those players had their lockers cleaned out, I believe, so not sure if either will be back this season, what the future holds for either of those players. How about this? The Miami Marlins win the series over the New York Yankees. They take it 2-0 yesterday. The big play in that ballgame was Jazz Chisholm getting thrown out at first base after going too far off the bag on a pop-up to second. He said that he thought the Marlins second baseman was going to drop the ball and attempt a 4-3 double play, or at least attempt to get Jazz Chisholm out at second base, take some speed off the bases for New York. Aaron Boone actually defended Chisholm's actions after the game. Chisholm said he would do it again, but New York just 2 hits and a loss to Miami. They've lost the series now after Camilo Doval blew the save on Friday night. Yuri Perez gets the win, 4-3, 2.70 earned run average. That Marlins team has a great young rotation. They kept Sandy Alcantara at the deadline, and they're 54-55. They're 1 game under 500. You know who else is 1 game under 500? San Francisco Giants. The Marlins continuing to move their way up the National League. Schlitter takes the loss for New York, and Calvin Foucher gets save number 11. Texas Rangers won yesterday 6-4 in 11 innings after being walked off on Friday night against the Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh went 0 for 5 strikeouts yesterday for Seattle. 59-53 now are the Mariners. 58-54 are the Rangers. It is heating up in an AL West race that looks really good. At the beginning of the season, we all talked about how interesting, how intriguing this NL West race would be. Well, I'm telling you, the AL West race is better right now. You've got the Astros at the top, followed closely by the Mariners and the Rangers. The Angels didn't tear down at the trade deadline. I don't know why they didn't. The A's are not a factor, but that is as good of a 3-team race as there is in Major League Baseball right now. Speaking of the Angels, they lost yesterday 1-0 to the Chicago White Sox at home. They mustered just 1 hit. Aaron Savali gets the win, brings his ERA under 4 on the season. Savali now 3-6 with a 3.99 earned run average. Kyle Hendricks, veteran, just toiling down in Anaheim, 6-8 with a 4.59 earned run average. D-backs won yesterday 7-2 over the Sacramento Athletics. Zach Gallen, who ended up staying with Arizona, really the only guy who the D-backs kept at the trade deadline. They traded a Eugenio Suarez. They traded Merrill Kelly to Arizona. They traded Josh Naylor to Seattle. They kept Gallen, really is need to cover the innings over the course of the season. He gets win number 8. He's 8-12 with a 5.48 earned run average. Not the platform season that he thought he'd have. Wouldn't mind the Giants going after Gallen in free agency this offseason. JT Ginn takes the loss for the A's in that ball game. And final game to tell you about, the St. Louis Cardinals won 8-5 yesterday over the San Diego Padres. Cardinals sitting at 500, so they're ahead of the Giants in the National League standings. Padres fall to 61-50. They're 11 over 500. McGreevy gets the win, Vasquez the loss, and Romero gets save number 1. In one game we are not going to tell you much about. The Braves and the Reds try to do battle out at Bristol Motor Speedway. Major League Baseball set up a beautiful event. I love these one-off games. Speedway Classic. Instead of playing yesterday, it was a torrential downpour. It was a terrible situation. They tried to get guys on the field. It backfired. They ran out of concession food. It was just an all-time horrific scene for you young folks out there drawing comparisons to Fire Festival. Not the type of event that you want to be drawing comparisons to if you're Major League Baseball and trying to put on something special for the good folks of Tennessee. So those are your scores from Saturday's games. We've already got 2 games underway on Sunday morning as the Astros and the Red Sox are doing battle at Fenway Park right now. Astros up 1-0 as Lucas Giolito's on the hill. He's having a nice season for Boston right now, but he trails in that ball game. Top of the 4th inning, and the bottom of the 2nd down in Tampa where the Dodgers and the Rays are facing off. Yoshinobu Yamamoto through 1 inning there. He did give up a hit already in that one. Bottom of the 2nd, Yamamoto trying to get the first player out in that frame. It's Ha-Seong Kim up for Tampa. So let's look at scores, both past and present, around Major League Baseball. It's pretty much time to get you set for Giants baseball on the radio. Carson Whisenhunt gets the ball today for the San Francisco Giants. 2nd career Major League start. He threw 85 pitches against the Pittsburgh Pirates, ultimately got through 5 innings, gave up 4 runs in the first 2 frames, but battled back fairly nicely, I thought, against Pittsburgh. The changeup is Whisenhunt's best pitch. It is widely regarded as one of the best offerings of any pitcher in the Giants system. That includes Major League level. That includes minor league level. It has been his most dominant offering since coming out of East Carolina a few drafts ago as a 2nd-round pick, a highly touted prospect, really one of the best left-handed pitching prospects in the minor leagues since he was called up, or excuse me, since he joined the Giants farm system. And since he was called up, Giants eager to get a look at him down the stretch. Landon Roop on the injured list right now. Kaiwei Tang obviously filling in yesterday. This is a Giants team that needs more starting pitching. Hayden Birdsong has been sent back to AAA Sacramento. Kyle Harrison obviously pitching in Worcester with the Red Sox AAA system. Of course, after that Rafael Devers trade, so the Giants need a heck of a lot more from their young pitchers, and they're hoping that Whisenhunt can turn in a great outing today. First pitch coming your way at 10:40 a.m. Pacific time. Baseball for breakfast. A rubber match between the Giants and the Mets. Frankie Montas gets the ball. He'll throw the first pitch of the afternoon. Former Athletic, former Cincinnati Red going for New York. We've got a great pregame show for you on the other side. All the bells and whistles. Bob Melvin Show. We've got award-winning Diamond Notes around the park, of course, and so much more. You're listening to KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
It's Sunday in New York City. The Giants and the Mets at Citi Field for Game 3 of this three-game series. Giants going for a series win after dropping the Saturday afternoon game yesterday. Carson Whisenant makes his second big league start up against the Mets right-hander Frankie Montas. I'm Dave Fleming. Along with John Miller, it's the Giants and the Mets full pregame show coming up next.
Hey, everybody, it is August 3rd in Giants history. Let's go back to 2001, early days of the ballpark. And the Giants had a slugger named Andres Galarraga who could hit. Let's shine a light on him. 8-3-0-1, Giants taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We called it Pac Bell Park, kids. Russ Ortiz had the ball, reliable starter. Pitchers duel between Ortiz and a guy named Omar Dahl for the Phillies. No runs have been scored until the bottom of the sixth when Rich Aurelio, what's up, Richie, hit a two-run shot. That's what he did. So the top of the seventh, Ortiz does give up a bomb of his own to Bobby Abreu. It's a 2-1 Giants lead. Top of the eighth, Ortiz still in there. He gives up an RBI single. Now it's a 2-2 ball game. So we go to the bottom of the ninth, and here he is. They called him the Big Cat. He had a big smile. He had a big swing. He was a Colorado Rocky for a while, but on this night, Andres Galarraga, with a runner on and 2 outs, is a Giant.
Pitch to Galarraga. There's a swing and a high drive to center. Drifting back Glanville. Onto the warning track in front of the wall. It's gone! A home run! It got up into the wind and kept going and going and out of here. And the Giants win the game.
Man, those were good days when Andres Galarraga was hitting walk-off bombs at Pac Bell Park and John Miller on the call. Giants win 4-2. What a career for Galarraga. 399 career home runs. That was one of them on August 3rd, 2001. And this has been Brian Murphy with this date in Giants history.
All right, Carrie Crowley back here with you on the Giants pregame show. It's time to send things out to the booth at Citi Field in New York, where we're joined by former Giants outfielder and current broadcaster Hunter Pence. Hunter, how are you this morning?
Hey, Carrie, doing well. How are you?
Doing great on our end. Excited to watch Carson Whisenhunt take the mound. We've learned so much about this young left-handed pitching prospect coming through the Giants organization, and really, Hunter, a huge opportunity for him today against a Mets team that looks playoff bound to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely poised to make a playoff run, and them and the Phillies, it's going to be fun to watch the NL East and how it plays out. They are both stacked teams, and this is a lineup. This is a real lineup. You know, the first four hitters is like somewhere around $1.2, $1.4 billion of payroll. But yeah, Carson's a confident kid. He really has an excellent changeup. It seemed like the approach from the Pirates in his first start was just sit on the changeup. His sinker actually played really well because of it. So let the adrenaline kind of sink. You know, you get all that first game stuff. So now he can settle in and come out and pitch. That's what he told me last night when I got to talk to him a little bit.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about Carson is, from your experience as a hitter, you know, he's really been a two-pitch guy primarily through the minor leagues with the fastball and changeup. He only threw the slider 9 times against the Pirates. How do you prepare for someone who is predominantly two pitches but can mix in a third that he doesn't necessarily trust just yet, but you know is a work in progress?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you prepare for the ones you're going to see the most, and you're kind of feeling out. There's a lot of things that you got to kind of juggle in your mind with your approach, and you don't want to overthink things. But really, yeah, attacking one of those two pitches and seeing there's some guys that you have to really sit one. You can't be in between or take away a side of the plate. But there's many games within the games. But finding your best approach against a guy, I'm assuming maybe some of the Mets hitters are seeing what teams did off of his changeup, what the Pirates did, and maybe they're coming with a similar approach. But you got to expect also that Whisenhunt's going to make his own adjustments as well. So you got to play the game. It really, every pitcher is in the big leagues for a reason, and you want Whisenhunt to really trust what got him here. He's getting really great hitters out throughout the minor leagues. Come up here and really kind of fine-tune and master your craft and play your game and trust your stuff.
He's not the only young Giants player who's getting an audition here down the stretch for this team. Grant McCray with a big opportunity right now. And Hunter, I wonder, you came up in 2007 with the Astros, and things just clicked for you. You took off, hit .322 that season as a rookie. I wonder, from your perspective, what you look for in McCray, what you hope to see over these final 50 or so games for this ball club to really prove that he can be a part of this team in 2026.
Yeah, I want to see him get every day at bats. I think he is a game changer. It's a little bit, yesterday was the first time he had ever played right field. And it's like, hey, here's your first start. Go play a position you've never played before. He was asking me a little bit about it, if I had any advice, and went and checked the caroms and stuff. So for me, we're going to need him to get familiar there. Jung-Hoo Lee gets great reads. Grant McCray is an extraordinary center fielder as well. I think his speed is his tool that changes the game. I watched him last year and the last month. Really, he didn't even have to get a hit. He just could get a walk. He could steal second. The pressure, he stole third, and I think ended up scoring on a grounder with the infield end. It didn't even matter. He was so fast. So I think that excitement, that kind of speed tool, if he can put the ball in play a little bit more, a lot of guys with big fastballs will challenge him with high fastballs. But he does have power as well. So it's enough power that you can't be we'll take away all your power. So I think one of it's going to be just, can you get to the top of the zone? Can you start putting some of these fastballs in play? Because I think he does kind of hit spin, which is unusual for a young player, pretty well. So we're going to see the strikeout rate go down, get some balls in play, and then let your tools take over the game, because it is a big threat.
Big opportunity for Whisenhunt, big opportunity for Grant McCray, and we'll talk more with Hunter Pence on the other side in the booth at Citi Field here on KNBR, the sports leader. All right, we're back here on the Giants pregame show. Carrie Crowley chatting with Hunter Pence, who's out in the booth at Citi Field ahead of this rubber match